In this video I will show how to use the basic identities to find the exact value of the remaining 5 trigonometric functions of an angle given one of its trigonometric functions and the quadrant in which the angle is. So first I want to remind you the relations between the 6 trigonometric functions, which we call the basic identities. So there is a sine of x and there is a cosine of x, and the relation between them is sine squared x plus cosine squared x is equal to 1. Then there is cosecant x and there is secant x. The relation between these ones is that cosine x times secant x is 1 and cosecant x times sine x is 1. Then we have cotangent x and tangent x, and the relation between these two is that they're reciprocals of one another. And now the relation between tangent x and secant x is that 1 plus tangent squared x is equal to secant squared x, and the relation between cosecant x and cotangent x is that cotangent x squared plus 1 is equal to cosecant squared x. Also, we have this shortcut. If we know both sine and cosine, then we can find tangent cotangent. Tangent will be sine of x over cosine of x, and cotangent x will be cosine x over sine x. That means we can find all trigonometric functions of an angle if we know one of the trigonometric functions and the quadrant, to resolve the situations when we have to choose between plus or minus. So first let's figure out what the quadrant is. So from information given, we conclude that theta is in second quadrant. So theta is in Q2. That means sine of theta is positive, cosine of theta is negative, therefore tangent of theta is negative, cotangent of theta is negative, cosecant of theta is positive, secant of theta is negative. So that's what that means. Well, let's get started. So what do we know? We know that cosine is negative 1/3. And let me actually make a little room here. So I'll minimize this. And we have cosine theta equals to negative 1/3. So that means if I want to find sine, I have to plug this value into this equation. So sine squared theta plus negative 1/3 squared is equal to 1. And that means sine theta is equal to plus minus, but since sine theta is positive, I have to go with plus. So it's going to be equal to positive radical. And I'll just write it over here. Sine theta will be equal to positive radical of 1 minus 1/9, so it's 8/9. So it's 2√2 over 3. So once we found sine, we can find cosecant. So what's cosecant? Cosecant is just the reciprocal of sine. So cosecant theta is just 3 divided by 2 radical 2. When we know cosine, we one step away from finding secant. Secant theta will be just the reciprocal of cosine, so it's just -3. Also, when we know sine and cosine together, we can figure out tangent and cotangent. So for example, tangent theta will be equal to 2 root 2 over 3 divided by -1 over 3, which is simply -2 over root 2. And cotangent theta will be the reciprocal of that, so it's just -1 over 2 radical 2. So this is how you use the basic identities to find the exact value of each of the 6 trigonometric functions when one of them is given.